It was an unusually foggy evening when I arrived at Blackthorn Manor. The ancient, ivy-covered estate had been abandoned for decades, sitting at the edge of the forest like a forgotten relic. As a writer with a penchant for the macabre, I couldn't resist the invitation to explore its infamous halls. Locals whispered about its cursed history, but I dismissed the tales as fanciful gossip until I stepped inside. The air inside was damp and carried a sickly sweet odor, like decayed flowers left too long in stagnant water. My flashlight sliced through the darkness, revealing faded wallpaper and ornate furniture cloaked in cobwebs. My footsteps echoed against the high vaulted ceilings as I wandered through the grand yet decaying mansion. It was in the parlor that I saw it for the first time, a shadow flitting across the corner of my vision. I swung my flashlight, but there was nothing there. The house creaked and groaned as though it were alive, the wind whistling through cracked windows. Still, I pressed on, my curiosity outweighing my fear. Upstairs, the hallway stretched endlessly before me, its floorboards groaning with each step. My heart thudded in my chest as I opened the first door. The bedroom was a time capsule of horror. The bed, draped in tattered sheets, had a large, dark stain on the mattress. And there, sprawled across the floor, was a lifeless body. The man's eyes stared vacantly at the ceiling, his throat slashed, and his hands bound with coarse rope. My breath caught in my throat. This wasn't an apparition or some trick of the mind. It was real. I staggered back, nearly tripping over myself as I fled the room. My mind raced. Was I trespassing on some crime scene? The thought of calling the authorities crossed my mind, but my phone had no signal, and the thought of staying any longer made my skin crawl. Then I saw her. In the dim light of the hallway, she swayed gently from the ceiling beam. Her pale, lifeless body was draped in a white dress, her face frozen in an expression of terror. My legs buckled, and I dropped to my knees, trembling. The girl couldn't have been older than 20. Her hair cascaded down in matted waves, and her feet dangled just above the floor. A faint whisper broke the silence, a single word carried on the stale air.
Run.
I scrambled to my feet, my instincts screaming at me to leave, but something compelled me to stay. I had to know what had happened here. My flashlight flickered, and for a moment, the hallway was plunged into darkness. When the beam steadied, the girl was gone. Panic gripped me as I turned and bolted down the stairs. The manor seemed to shift and breathe around me, its walls closing in. I reached the front door, only to find it locked tight. No amount of pulling or pounding would budge it.
You shouldn't have come here.
A voice rasped from behind me. I spun around, but the hallway was empty. Yet the voice persisted, echoing from the walls. I stumbled into the kitchen, desperate to find another way out. My flashlight revealed a door leading to the basement. Against every ounce of common sense, I descended the creaking stairs, hoping for an exit. The basement was a cavernous nightmare. Chains hung from the walls, and the floor was littered with rusty tools, saws, knives, and implements whose purposes I didn't want to imagine. But it was the shelves that turned my blood to ice. Jars filled with what appeared to be preserved body parts lined the walls. Suddenly, it all clicked. This wasn't a haunted manor. This was the lair of a monster. A serial killer had lived here. Their victims, the man, the girl, and countless others, now trapped within these walls, their restless spirits tied to the horrors they endured. My realization came too late. A sharp pain erupted at the back of my skull, and darkness consumed me. When I awoke, I was bound to a chair in the parlor. The room was filled with shadows, and in the dim light I saw them. The girl, the man, and dozens more, their spectral forms watching me with hollow eyes.
He'll come for you.
The girl whispered, her voice like dry leaves rustling in the wind. Before I could respond, the front door creaked open. Heavy footsteps echoed through the manor. My heart seized as I realized the truth. The killer wasn't a ghost. He was still here.